And welcome back to the Black Diamond podcast. Chris, he's Jerry. I guess this is episode 27, since we'll be releasing this separate from the rest of the episode. Our Nope season is coming to a ceremonious end, and we are now in the Fail Classic, baby. This is what we play for. This is what we live for.
I feel like there should be a musical montage, and it's like, you remember all those old postseason commercials with "Written in the Stars" as the background music? I feel like there should be like some circusized version of that, where it just sounds real goofy. It should be playing in the back of this.
Yeah, or like the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah,
or like the Curb Your Enthusiasm
Benny
theme song
Hill
or something. Yeah, literally any of those options would work. Whatever goofy music that you associate with failure, please insert that here. But welcome to the Fail Classic. We've been training our whole lives for this. We've been working very hard we worked very hard to get this bracket put together and to power through it over the past we've been at this for like a good almost 2 months now since we started this whole series. But it is time to crown a loser. And in this Fail Classic, we have the 1962 New York Mets versus the Detroit Tigers of 2003. The Tigers missed the Mets record at the time by just one game. The 03 Tigers finished with 119 losses, 43 wins to the Mets 40, 120, and 1. And we did discuss how that one game ended in a tie that year. Which is just a fun little nugget about that team. So this is it. This is for all the marbles. So what do you think?
Boy, it's a tough matchup on both sides of the ball, honestly. You look at the 62 Mets and you look through the lineup, and we've mentioned the other Frank Thomas before for this team had 34 home runs, 94 RBI. This 62 Mets team had two other players with more than 50 RBI. Charlie Neal, who was 31 years old, had 58, and Felix Mantilla had 59. So one Met had more than 60 RBI on this team. In so much as that you could ever judge WAR, I mean, and I don't know like how perfect these work going back retroactively.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Thomas led this team in WAR with 2.5. Looking at the 2003 Tigers, Dimitri Young actually had 3.4 WAR because he had 297. He had 85 RBI. There actually were multiple Tigers with 70 plus RBI on this team. Dimitri Young had 85. Craig Monroe had 70, as long as we're talking about guys with healthier allegations. Carlos Pena had 1.3 WAR.
Hey, yo.
Their second highest WAR on this team in the lineup is Warren Morris, 1.7, and he's more well known for what he did in the College World Series. The title-winning walk-off with LSU. Warren Morris, by the way, had a 689 OPS. So, and then you look at the pitching, and we've talked before about how the Tigers had the last 20-game loser with Mike Maroth, and Jeremy Bonderman had 19, and he got moved to the bullpen in August because they didn't want to ruin his confidence, which ended up being the right move. We've mentioned with the 62 Mets, they had two 20-game losers. Roger Craig had 24. Al Jackson had 20. But also, you look at this 62 Mets rotation. Roger Craig made 33 starts. Al Jackson had 33. Jay Hook had 34. For a team that we know was okay, this was so bad. I see ERAs of 4.51, 4.40, 4.84. For a team that's supposed to be that bad, that's actually much better than I was expecting. You look at the 2003 Tigers staff. Mike Roth had an ERA of 5.73. Jeremy Bonderman's was over 5.5. Adam Bernero had an ERA over 6. Gary Knotts had an ERA over 6. Nate Cornejo had the best ERA on this starting staff, and it was 4.67. So there's really no one area where you could say one team has a definite advantage. This really could go either way.
Yeah, I think I think this is one that's going. This is like truly a classic fail classic. I think this goes the distance. This goes 7 games. There might even be, you know what, just for the sake of, because the 62 Mets had a tie, I would say that this series is going to go 8 games.
Well, in that case, we might have to make it 9, like the original World Series.
Someone called Mike Francesa and proposed that idea to him, because it's definitely a good one.
You are absolutely going to get hit with the who cares.
Yeah, well, someone called him once. Like, I don't know if you ever saw, like, in the compilation of many prank calls or ridiculous calls he received. Someone asked him. It was like when Rob Manfred like first became the commissioner of baseball. He's like, "Hey, Mike, do you think Rob Manfred would, implement anything that might like change the history of the game, like a 9-game World Series?" And he's just like, "Why? Why would they do that?" He's like, change the history of baseball, and he just like hung up on him. But yeah, no, I think looking at this matchup, the Tigers pitching is definitely pretty horrendous, whereas the Mets pitching, might not be quite as bad. Especially because the Mets only had a 4-man rotation, and for a 7, 8, or 9-game series, that's all you really need. So I definitely give the Mets the edge as far as pitching goes.
For those 3 starters I mentioned, Craig, Jackson, and Hook, they all had at least 10 complete games.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Both bullpens are pretty. Both bullpens are pretty atrocious, but I think the Tigers bullpen is probably a little bit worse. I would say the Tigers probably definitely have the better lineup and the better hitting. So it really is like a pretty dead even. It just really is like a battle of titans. For me, I would go with the 03 Tigers as the better team, and I would crown the Mets as the champions of the Fail Classic, only because I feel like the one tiebreaker in this scenario is that I think that if you were to put a group of athletes or a baseball team from the early 2000s in a time machine to go back in the 60s and play anyone, I think they would probably just kick their asses.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing, is like, there's always that discussion. It's like, oh, well, what if you put, the best athletes from this era, would they survive, the 80s or whatever? When it's like, it's always a big thing with NBA ones, but it's like, man, take the most mid guy from right now and drop him into 1961. Like, he'd be tried for witchcraft.
Yeah, or if Clayton Kershaw ever pitched to like Babe Ruth, like I don't think Babe Ruth would make like prime Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah,
I don't think Babe Ruth would make contact with a single pitch. He might not even make contact with a single pitch of like Clayton Kershaw like today.
Yeah, like just let him break out the curveball, see how that goes.
Yeah. So that's. Yeah, so I'd also probably pick the Mets
from that era would be, they let who play?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd probably pick the Mets as the loser. So I'll go Tigers in 9 and the Mets to be the Fail Classic champions of the world.
I mean, I guess maybe the biggest deciding factor here would be that, like you said, the pitching numbers for the Mets are pretty good for a team that's that bad. So it just makes you think, okay, they must not have had good defense, because that lineup looks standard bad. I don't look at like those numbers. Obviously, they're not great. You wouldn't want to have them, but I don't look at them and I like amongst the starters listed, I see two for batting average. And I know that's not the defining thing, but I see 241, 244, 260, 275, 266. Like, you see a lot of run of the mill bad. We've seen some other teams in the nope season that had some very bad offensive numbers. Even the OPS pluses, 100 is supposed to be league average. I see 94, 92, 95, 118, 94, 88. Okay, so your offense is just run-of-the-mill mediocre, which I get for the 1960s is probably different from now. We said the pitching, okay, for a team that lost 120 games, better than we would have expected. So you're going to assume that this team doesn't play a lot of good defense.
I'm honestly looking at their defensive stats right now, and most of these players, with the exception of like Cliff Cook, most of their fielding percentages are like in like the high like 900s.
Well, that would be a thing. You generally want it to be like 980 something, 970, 960. Anything
there are a few
that,
in the 950s.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. So you would think, okay, if this team in the 60s isn't playing good defense, and you're going to play a team from the 2000s where we know objectively that even the bad lineups are probably still infinitely better than a bad lineup in 1962, that lineup from 2003 probably takes advantage of that bad defense.
Right.
I also I want to bring this up because I somehow missed this until now. Just looking at some of the names on this pitching staff, they had a guy who started multiple games for them, and his name, I'm not kidding, his name is Vinegar Bend Mizell.
Yeah, we also got Vinegar Bend Mizell. We got not a pitcher, but we also have Choo Choo Coleman.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's legendary. I've heard of him.
Choo Choo Coleman, absolute legend. Yeah,
I want to know where. Oh, he's from Texas. Okay, that sounds like a Texas name.
yeah, that checks.
No nicknames listed for him though. Okay, so it's not his given name. His full name is Wilmer David Mizell. You know what? Vinegar Bend. I don't hate that. Oh
yeah.
Says here he was a 2-time All-Star and he won the 1960 World Series with the Pirates. I'll be damned. Oh, he was an All-Star twice in the same season, because this was back in the era when they had 2 All-Star games. I forgot about the.
Oh yeah, they'd have like one mid-season and one like after the season.
Yep. I'll be damned.
He actually, Vinegar Bend Mizell actually, his overall body of work as a pitcher,
and lost 2 prime years because of military service.
Yeah.
Hell of a guy.
Salute to Vinegar.
That might be something that we do down the road. Like, we always like to have our late show topics that are a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think I know we're not the first people that would have ever came up with this, because I've heard it from others, but I think we need to have an all name team, because baseball is so good for these.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There are quite a lot of, quite a few names. Coco Crisp.
There was a player in the early 30s. His name, I'm not kidding, was named Johnny Dickshot. I believe
that was his like birth name.
And it gets better. His nickname was Ugly. So you can even call him Ugly Dickshot.
Or there was like that one, that one like Japanese, like that one Japanese like video game with like all the crazy names.
Yes, Todd Gonzalez,
Yeah, Todd Gonzalez. I think. Yeah. I believe
Bobson Dugnut.
Yeah. Isn't I think like isn't Glenn Allen Mixon one of them or no?
Yes.
Yeah, Glenn Allen Mixon. Yeah, Glenn Allen Mixon. Steve McDykel.
Yes.
Willie Dustis.
Oh, I'm pulling that up right now. That's fantastic. That puts a smile on my face. Mike Truck.
Mike Truck. Did you know that there's a do you know the there's like there's a metal band called Pig Destroyer?
No, but I do now.
Well, there's this other there's like they're called like I guess they'd be like a grindcore band or something like that, but there's a baseball themed metal band called Puig Destroyer. And they have this one and they have this one song that's called Mike Trout, and it just goes like Mike Trout, he can do anything.
I need to find that now. Oh, the winner on this list, Anatoly Smorin. It's too good. Yeah, Vinegar Ben. Oh, turned out he had a political career after baseball. Huh.
Vinegar 2024.
It still doesn't say why he got that name. I feel like anyone that visits his Wikipedia, like that's the most pertinent question I can have answered. How did he get that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like sports media back then, wasn't what it is now. But how is no one curious enough to like ask him like the story behind that?
Okay, well, it does say that at the age of 16, he started playing for baseball teams, pitching in Sunday leagues around Vinegar Bend, Alabama. I'm guessing that's probably it.
All right, that checks.
Still pretty good. I'm not gonna knock you for that. Yeah, he grew up in a town in Mississippi, but started playing baseball in Vinegar Bend, Alabama, the town from which he drew his nickname. Okay.
Respect.
Yeah, I could not believe that.
Yeah, I am just going to quickly put just gonna quickly throw up the this is the list of the names here. Let me get that banner out of the way so y'all can see it. But yeah, you guys, Steve McDykel, Anson Sweeney, Daryl Archideld.
Archidel's pretty good.
Anatoly Smorin, Ray McStriff, Glenn Allen Mixon, Mario.
That's an R, right? Mario McElwain.
So. Yeah, McElwain, Raul Chamberlain.
Chamberlain.
Kevin Nogini.
Nogilny, much like a hockey player.
Yeah. Tony Smerick, Bobson Dugnut, Willie Dustis, Jeremy Gride, Scott Dork, Shaun Forcott.
I think so.
Dean Westry, Mike Truck, Dwight Rorchegall, yeah. Tim Sandell, Carl Dandleton, Mike Sarandez, and the legend himself, Todd Gonzalez.
Carl Dandleton's pretty good now that I'm being reminded of that. That's strong.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we might need to do like an all name I don't know if in spring training or early on next year, but an all name team might be pretty good.
Yeah, we'll definitely add that to the list of topics to discuss over the off season. Before we go, would you like to crown a champion here, or are we going to a poll?
Well,
you never officially said out loud who you would pick.
Well, I do think because of the fact that, if you have good pitching but a bad defense, that's generally going to catch up with you. So if we go on that, I'm going to assume that that a 2000s offense is going to take advantage of bad 1960s defense, and so the 2003 Tigers win that, meaning the 62 Mets would be our failed classic champion. But I do think, we can have our opinion, I think, but I also think it's worth putting to a poll. I mean, if you still want to, unless we're both in agreement here, but I mean, I don't mind putting it out there and see what the people think.
I mean,
everyone else is at.
We can put it to a poll anyway, but since we just a crowdsource, but since we do agree, we can crown them. Congratulations to the 1962 Mets. We'll put a poll out just for funsies though to see if people agree or not. But congrats to the 1962 Mets for defying the odds of modern baseball and coming out on top of the Fail Classic.
They said they were washed. They were not.
Yeah. Don't call it a comeback. They never left.
Well, I guess they wouldn't celebrate with champagne. So what do? Like, you spray each other with like expired Sprite? I don't know.
Yeah, or like, I guess what's something like, what's like an unpleasant
well, they do sell Welch's, like sparkling Welch's grape in champagne bottles, so it looks like a champagne bottle, but it's not.
So so it's like so it's like or like they just have like O'Doul's in the clubhouse or something.
I think O'Doul's is on the list, but everyone's understanding right away. It's like, okay, well, we know O'Doul's is the non-alcohol. Like, you just see an O'Doul's can and like, oh, okay. But if you think, like, if you get a champagne bottle and you think it's that, and it's like, no, this is sparkling grape juice. What the fuck?
Then it's like a real bamboozle.
Yeah, and it could be expired too, which makes it taste even worse.
I think. I think making it expired. I mean, if it's expired, would it even sparkle? Or
that's a fair point.
Would it just? If anyone's ever drank expired sparkling grape juice, please
inquiring minds want to know
whether or not it expires. These are the this is the information we're dying for on this baseball podcast of ours.
It's the off season, folks. This is what we did.
But yeah, congrats to the Mets, and hopefully we get another historically bad team sometime in the near future, so that we could do something like this again. Because I think this would be a fun thing to revisit if we get another historically bad team, to see if anyone can possibly dethrone them.
Well, the first thing that popped into my head as soon as you said that is, maybe next year we have a bracket of what are the worst plays in baseball history.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, there's go-to bloopers that I feel like anytime it's like, oh, what are the funniest plays or what are the biggest bloopers in baseball history? I mean, there's just an immediate reel that we always like. Jose Canseco, having the home run bounce off his head is one. Or there's multiple guys that have handed the ball to someone in the stands thinking it was the third out, and it was not the third out.
Yeah, or like Manny Ramirez when he was on the Dodgers, cutting off that throw for some reason.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's definitely a lot of those.
Niger Morgan not making the catch, slamming his glove, thinking the ball had gone out, and instead the ball was just still rolling along the track, and the guy got an in the park home run.
That's a good that's a good one too.
There's one Subway Series play that is going to be on here, but I don't think that needs to get brought up. That one came to mind.
But and I think with that one, it's probably what makes it even, because I mean, I think what makes that one particularly like worse was probably like the fan videos at the game probably added insult to injury there.
Yeah. Oh, the butt tag.
Yeah, the
Like
butt
that's
tag,
I feel
the
like that's
butt
kind of
tag,
lost
the
in
butt
luster.
slide, and
Yeah.
that happened not too long after the butt fumble.
It might have been like a year or two.
Yeah,
It
because I
happened while the
remember.
Astros were still bad. I know that.
Yeah, because I do remember when that happened. I was like, "Is this it, or are we finally vindicated?" And the answer was no.
Now that I think about it, the Astros also had to play in that same era while they were tanking, where it was like, I think it was like a pop-up bunt. And it's like the pitcher, first baseman, and catcher all like converge. And everyone's first like, you got it, you got it. No, you got it. And
And
someone finally takes it, and then they just airmail the throw to first. So the runner from first comes all the way around to score, and it was extra innings too. It was just
yeah,
like all the worst things that could happen on one play happened.
yeah. There's the obvious one with between the Pirates and the Cubs, the Javi Baez play.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Oh yeah, how could I forget that?
Yeah, that one's definitely up there. And I'm sure there's plenty of others that I can't think of right now. I mean, I guess you could put A-Rod slapping the glove.
I feel like that's more infamous than it's just like why would you do that?
Yeah, that's more of like just like you're being an asshole rather than like
Yeah.
like a blooper or an error.
Ooh, I'm trying to think of like a good pitcher one, because it's like the only pitcher thing I could think of was like Rick Ankiel, but like that guy had something happen to him. That wasn't. I feel like any list of first pitches, like, do those count? Because it's like those are non-baseball. Like everyone always brings up the 50-cent first pitch.
I think that could probably be its own thing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, these are non-baseball people. I actually do have an experience with this. My friend who writes for the local newspaper got asked to do this at spring training, probably about like 10 or 11 years ago now. He's a natural righty. He hurts his arm the morning of the game. And he's like, well, but I'm being asked to throw out first pitch at spring training. Like, when is this going to happen again? I have to do this. So he throws lefty. And it goes so badly that he ends up on the not top 10. And I forget which national caught him, but he was laughing his ass off walking to the dugout. Fortunately, my friend was like a good sport about it. He thought it was hilarious. I don't know how I would have taken it, but good on John, because he's a better man than I.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would have handled that.
Well, question: does Paul O'Neill kicking the ball back into the infield, like, I guess nothing came from it. I think it actually prevented a run from scoring.
Yeah, I think it helped.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think it helped. So I don't know if that really would. I don't know if that really would fit.
Underrated one that happened in the 21st century and doesn't get brought up nearly enough. The Cardinals lost a playoff game once. They were, I think it was either tied in the ninth inning or they were leading. I think they were leading. And they got the first two outs of the inning. And then there was a little bloop to left. And Matt Holliday came charging in. And not only did he miss him, but it hit him where it's the one place he can't hit.
Oh, man.
And then the Dodgers, I believe, scored 2 runs because the inning was extended and they won the game. All because Matt Holliday took one where you can't.
That's brutal.
Yeah, I felt for him walking off the field. It's like, man, we lost, and God damn it, this hurts like hell.
Yeah, it's just a double kick in the nuts.
Quite literally.
Yes, quite literally. Yeah, there's there's been a lot of cases of people making an ass of themselves on the diamond. That we could definitely I'm sure we could definitely come up with some sort of tournament for that. So we will definitely hit the lab with that. But for now, I think we are going to hit the hay because I think this episode is about over, and it is about 1 o'clock in the morning now. So thank you all for tuning in with us and for rocking with us this year and for rocking with us for this Fail Classic and this Nope season. We've had a lot of fun doing it. As a reminder, make sure that you are following the socials down below. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the Middle Initial Podcast YouTube channel. 4 to 7 pod is coming very soon. Not sure when exactly yet. We might do like one more, or we might do like 1 or 2 more episodes of Black Diamonds. But 4 to 7 pod is on the horizon. Our fearless leader, Andrew L. Case, is told us he is working on logos for us. So we're going to have options. We haven't seen them yet. So it's going to be a surprise for us too. So we haven't seen them yet. But I do trust that whatever he comes up with will be a good look for us. So, excited to see what he comes up with there. And, we'll be excited to share it with you when that time comes. Do you have any final words for the people, Jerry?
It's been fun getting to become a part of this year and the year that unfolded as it did. I mean, who knew when I joined on in July that, things were going to go the way they did for both of our teams. It was fun to have this as an outlet, and as the years go on, you can kind of go back and look back to this year, and we could see it documented as the season went along. What we were thinking, like this will be a fun time capsule to look back on, and I can't wait to see what 2025 has for us. And I'm glad for everybody that joined, and thank you to everyone that voted on our polls throughout the season for making it possible.
Yeah, no, we appreciate the engagement, and a big shout outs to the extended community of the Ascension Podcast Network as well. The engagement we get from them definitely helps too, and we appreciate every last bit of support that we get. So that'll do it for us here today. But thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace.